see, we are not exactly cellmates, but we're neighbours, so to speak. We're prison neighbours. Cell neighbours, I guess. Doctor.
Ah, hater. I wish I could forget you were here. Alas, unlike that silence in the next cell, I can't.
I hate you. I hate you so much.
Do you even have any reason to?
No, not really. I'm just a hater. I mean, I have lots of reasons to hate you, but when it all is said and done, I'm just a hater, so it mainly comes down to hate, and every other reason is just part of the hate, but mainly it's just hatred.
And that is why I wish I could forget you were here.
I bet you wouldn't want to forget this face, would you? Ha ha! You missed me, right?
I did.
Don't worry, Doctor. I'm here to help. I'm here to get you out of here.
Let's go, Nick.
Nick, please take me with you! I'm sorry. I didn't mean any of it. No, you're not. You're right, I did. But please take me with you anyway. No, for you see, I was the one who put you in here in the first place, as you probably are aware. So I'm afraid, because you haven't actually learnt your lesson, I'm not going to help you. I'm going to leave you here, and I'm just going to take the Doctor. So, bye! No! Bastard!
Right. Now that review's out the way, we're almost up to date. Mr. Payne, congratulations. You did it. You re-reviewed Ascension of the Cybermen and The Timeless Children, the Doctor Who Series 12 or Season 38 finale, and one of the most divisive and controversial stories of the entire show. Congratulations. You have brought balance and peace to the fan base. Sort of. You have now become a master of Doctor Whoism. But you still have one more thing to do before you become a mega fan. And what is that, Master? And that is to do a revisitation review of the 2021 Doctor Who New Year special, Revolution of the Daleks. But I already reviewed that episode on the Whoniversals back in January, and it's only been about 4 or so months since it came out, and since that review, it's a bit soon. I did say I was going to wait until nearer to Series 13's time. Well, let me ask you this. Are you a completionist? At least with the television series, anyway? Well, yes, obviously. Duh! And have any of your opinions or thoughts on this episode changed in the last 4 or so months? Yes. Yes, it has. And how long till Series 13 comes out? Not sure, but it's probably going to be at least 5 to 6 months, maybe 7. At the very latest, it might actually get pushed back into early 2022. Then it seems like a good idea to do a revisitation review of this story and get yourself right up to date before preparing yourself for Series 13. Very well, Master. I shall do as you ask. In order to wrap up these reviews and bring us right up to date and be a completionist, I shall re-review Revolution of the Daleks. Good luck, Mr. Payne. We're all rooting for you. You're doing it, mate! As Graham O'Brien says. I'll let you get on with it. Right. Let's do it. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Nick here, and welcome to my revisitation of the 2021 Doctor Who New Year special, Revolution of the Daleks, which at time recording is also the latest episode to air of the series, which I didn't have on DVD or Blu-ray when I was recording the review. However, I am recording this short segment on my birthday, which should be hopefully a few days before this video comes out. And I got it on Blu-ray for my birthday, so yay! Now I've got every single Doctor Who story released so far. You know what that means? When we're finished here, that means we've done every single television episode of Doctor Who. Again in some cases. Woo! So, how does Revolution of the Daleks stand as the most recent episode of the series before Series 13 comes around later this year? Well, I don't think it's as good as I did when I saw it in January, when I did my initial review then on the Universals. I was very positive on that story, even though I had my nitpicks and my faults. I was very positive. I gave it a 9 out of 10, but this time round, some of the nitpicks that a lot of people I do agree with on this time around. There was a few issues with this episode, as well as the fact that I watched the story pretty much right after the Series 12 finale. I had enough time to watch all 3 episodes, more or less, so I watched it right afterwards and completed my ongoing start to finish marathon in order marathon, which also contributes to the reviews and revisitation reviews in the case of Series 10, 11, and 12. With that all in mind, Revolution of the Daleks is not as good as I used to think it is. But it's still damn good. It's still a good episode. A fun episode as well, in fact. And after The Timeless Children, it's much needed. Okay, the plot of this episode sees the Doctor incarcerated at a Jadoon prison I guess they found her when looking for the fugitive Doctor, and then found a few other crimes, so they just sentenced her to life in prison, as we saw at the end of The Timeless Children. Meanwhile, Ryan, Yaz, and Graham are back on Earth, and they discover there's this security drone being tested out, and the security drones that are being placed all over the UK when they are developed are being funded by Jack Robertson from Arachnid in the UK. So they have to try and investigate what's going on with the Dalek and Jack Robertson and try to prevent any attempt by the Daleks to take over the Earth. Also, Captain Jack turns up in this episode. And initially the marketing was that Captain Jack was going to team up with the companions to stop the Daleks whilst the Doctor was in prison. But that's not exactly what happens. Revolution of the Daleks' marketing kind of cheats. It kind of lies. It's how are the companions going to be able to protect the Earth from a Dalek invasion without the Doctor? They don't really. The whole thing about the Doctor being in prison only takes up about 20 minutes of the episode. That's almost a third of this episode, as this episode is actually 70 minutes. The longest episode of the Whittaker era, and the longest episode since, I think, probably since Deep Breath, actually, I think. Because I think the longest they've been up to this point is 65 minutes. At the most. I think this is the longest one since Deep Breath, which was 75. So, this episode is an extra 10 minutes to a regular special. Considering how much it's got to do, that is good. But maybe we could need another 5 minutes, because there is a lot going on in this episode. Firstly, there is this whole stuff about Jack Robertson's people supposedly acquiring the reconnaissance Dalek shell following the events of Resolution. Then Jack Robertson and this tech genius called Leo developed this drone type thing based off the recon Daleks casing, and they use it as security drones to promote to an MP called Jo, who's probably conservative, by the way. She uses that as part of her campaign to become Prime Minister, which she does, but not for long. As she has these drones developed in her constituency, and then when she becomes Prime Minister, she has the first lot rolled out across the country, and they are placed at check-in points like airports and ferry ports, and are used as additional security in the world, and are also there to help with help the police out against riots and stuff, and basically just be more security bots, so to speak. Meanwhile, Leo has cloned some organic remains of what was in the initial case, and has cloned a reconnaissance scout Dalek, well, the mutant at least, which then clones itself and sets up this factory in Japan, where it then has itself cloned and then feeds the people who were cloning it as the food,
And then when Leo is ordered to dispose of this clone Dalek, when Robertson finds out, the clone Dalek attaches himself to Leo and basically uses him as a puppet, like the original used Lynn as a puppet in Resolution. The whole drone stuff takes about a year or two to develop, because the events of it probably takes a year to design and build the drone Dalek after it was stolen at the start of 2019. It probably took up to end of 2019, start of 2020 for them to test the first one in front of Jo Swifton, I think it was the lady who becomes the politician who becomes the prime minister in the episode. So we then come to the start of 2021 and they're ready to be rolled out nationally. During 10 months of this year, Ryan, Yaz and Graham returned home following the events of the series 12 finale, and Yaz is now trying to find out a way to get back to the Doctor. And it takes her about 10 months to come out with something that you would learn on day one, as Mr. TARDIS put in his review. Or at least early on in your discovery, not 10 months later. Meanwhile, Ryan and Graham have tried to get back with normal life, and they eventually discovered that this security bot is being funded by Jack Robertson, and it looks like a Dalek, so they suspect him with being in league with the Daleks. By the way, if it sounds like my voice is going, it's because I did an over hour-long review of the Series 12 finale just before this, so forgive me if I sound a bit more worn out and low-breathed. So the companions tried to confront Robertson, but they didn't get very far, and they don't really get very far with investigating the Dalek. Meanwhile, the Doctor is at the Jadoon prison, and yeah, we basically get the Doctor at the Jadoon prison. We get some cameos for some other monsters. Got a Sycorax and a Nude that the Doctor jokingly calls Bonnie and Clyde. We get the Pating, we get a Pating that the Doctor calls Tiny. We get a Silent. We get an angel called Angela. This is the first time we see a Sycorax, an Ood, a Silent, and a Weeping Angel in this era of the show. And if some reports about the Weeping Angels being seen filming with the 13th Doctor turn out to be true, and it's not for time fracture, then this may not be the last time we'll see the Weeping Angels on screen in the 13th Doctor's era. There's a couple of monster Easter eggs in here. Some of them are a bit more obvious. Some of them are more trying and look for them if you can. Anyway, so at the prison, the Doctor is then broken out by Captain Jack Harkness, who got himself into this prison after about 19 years trying to get himself into it, which might be what he was doing in Fugitive of the Jadoon. He might have been running away from the Jadoon or whoever owned that ship, and he got caught by the Jadoon or something, and he ended up here to get the Doctor out. How he knew she was here in the first place, I don't know. But anyway, Captain Jack breaks the Doctor out, and that all happens before the end of it, and that all happens before the 20-minute mark, and then they get back to the Doctor's TARDIS just after the 22-minute mark, and then they go to Earth and help out the companions. So 24 minutes into the episode, the Doctor returns to Earth, and she and Captain Jack team up with the companions. So the marketing of this episode lied. Not only that, but the whole prison stuff was fucking pointless. So that makes the ending of The Timeless Children even more shit. Mainly for what actually happened, but also because what it ties into in this episode doesn't go anywhere. The Doctor going to prison for 20 or so years doesn't change anything. The only thing that it kind of does is so that the Doctor can reflect on what she learnt in The Timeless Children. But even then, she could still think about that in 20 minutes, then having to need 20 years at least. I say 20 years at least because Jack needs to get in there over 19 years. So the Doctor's been there at least 19 years. So let's say 20, maybe more. This is absolute pointless. It didn't need it. You could have had the Doctor on Earth and the Daleks were still being, well, these Dalek-like drones were being developed right under her nose, as well as also the mutants. They could have been developed right under her nose. It wouldn't be the first time something like this has happened, and she wouldn't have known until it was too late, and then we could have an interesting story around that. But no, we're going to have to do this pointless prison stuff, and the companions try to save the Earth on their own, but they get barely anywhere before the Doctor comes back. So, what a disappointment. What an absolute disappointment. At least Captain Jack's fun. He's there to lighten the mood. Now, we're not going to discuss anything about the John Barrowman situation that's currently going on at time of recording. Like with Fugitive of the Jadoon, we're just going to focus on what John Barrowman is like in this episode and what the character is like in this episode, and we're going to not talk about the other stuff at the moment. We're just focusing on this episode. Same when I get to the Torchwood reviews on the Retro channel. So,
Okay, so Captain Jack, whilst he doesn't necessarily have to be in this episode, he's certainly more necessary than in Fugitive of the Dune, and he's a lot more fun, and he gets some good character moments with Yaz and with the Doctor, and also the Doctor gets a good character moment with Ryan, who has come to the decision that he wants to stay on Earth, and which he decides to do at the end of the episode, because he doesn't want to miss out on his life on Earth and his friends and family on Earth, which makes a lot of sense. It's just a shame that besides Can You Hear Me and this episode, we don't really know that much about it. In fact, Ryan has been put to the sidelines quite a lot in this series. I would say that's to help Yaz get a bit more personality or more stuff to do, but that may only be a slight increase, to be honest. But more on the companion departures later. Two of the companions departing later. In the meantime, the Doctor, Ryan, and Graham go off to confront Robertson, and they tell him about the Daleks. They bring him on board, and then when they all go to Japan, they all confront the clone Dalek taking over Leo, and the clone Dalek activates his army, who then go off to take over the drones themselves and become the new casings of the Daleks. Sadly, Leo is killed by the reconnaissance Dalek clone this time round, showing that it really is a ruthless being. It let Lynn live, but she resisted it a bit more, whilst this time round it just killed Leo just because it could. That is so Dalek. That is exactly what a Dalek would do. Anyway, in order to stop the new drone Daleks, drone casing Daleks, when I love the change from the blue lighting of the drone casings to a red light when the mutants come inside. In order to stop them, the Doctor has to go and get the SAS Daleks, the Daleks that are in charge of purity, and bring them to Earth in order to destroy the drone Daleks before then getting rid of those Daleks. And before we get to that bit, we don't really get to see much of the drone Daleks being put into place that much. We see a few shots of them at national monuments and gate lines and stuff, but they don't really do much. There isn't really much of a response to them. They don't do anything to anybody until they become Daleks, and there isn't really much of a response from the general public. They're just going about day-to-day business as per usual. Nothing seems to have changed, and I think, again, if we removed the Doctor in prison stuff, maybe we could have seen a bit more of that, or added an extra 5 minutes to the episode, making it 75 minutes, and we could see some of the responses from the general public. It's a shame that we don't really get any responses from the general public until they actually start killing people. That being said, it's nice to see Daleks killing people again. Do you know how many people they killed in the Moffat era? A small number across a couple of episodes, not including the Time War. In this episode, I think they kill more people in this episode and Resolution combined than all of the Moffat Dalek stories put together. Possibly. However, the best part about this story is once the SAS Daleks come down and they try to exterminate the drone Daleks, we get our new Dalek Civil War. Basically what the 80s Dalek stories did. Resurrection, Revelation, and Remembrance. They were all contributing to this big Dalek Civil War. Resurrection started off having a civil war at the very end of the story. Revelation brought in a new breed of Daleks to have a civil war, and Remembrance was the civil war at its peak / conclusion, possibly, when they all tried to get this great big weapon. We also had a Dalek Civil War in The Evil of the Daleks. It's great to have another one, because Daleks, they are obsessed with purifications, considering they're mutants, because they're based on Nazis, and Nazis want to be the superior beings. So Daleks, being the, so as they were inspired by the Nazis, and that's been the case since 1963, then the Daleks want to be pure and the superior beings in the universe. However, they're so obsessed with racial purity that anything that isn't pure Dalek will be destroyed. We've seen this many times in the show before. Asylum with the Daleks tried to fuck this up, but we've seen this many times in the show before with Daleks killing impure Daleks. Most notably, see Dalek Civil War stories or Victory of the Daleks, where the Paradigm Daleks thank the Ironside Daleks and the one surviving Gold Dalek, Bronze Dalek, by destroying them because they were impure. And here we go again with the Bronze Daleks destroying the drone Daleks because they're impure. The clones of the clone of the Reconnaissance Dalek. Whilst the Reconnaissance Dalek itself may have been a pure Dalek, its clone is not pure, and its clone and its own clones are even less pure. So these special SAS Daleks go off to destroy them all. The Doctor then has to try and find out a way to get rid of them. Captain Jack, Ryan, and Graham go onto the Dalek ship to blow it up, whilst the Doctor comes up with the idea to have the other Daleks come inside the house TARDIS, the one that Yaz, Graham, and Ryan got back home from the series finale back in, and they used that to get rid of the other Daleks by sending it into the void and closing in on itself. Jack Robertson does, for some reason, try to team up with the Daleks, the actual Daleks, but he doesn't die. I was expecting him to be exterminated when he decided to do that. I was actually expecting him to be exterminated, and he doesn't. And he claims that he was trying to cause a distraction for the Doctor. Yeah, we all know he's lying, but the Doctor can't do anything about it, and she can't even prove that he was selling out humanity. But unfortunately, he then goes off and profits about this. He goes off and brags about saving humanity. And yeah, this is a real-life situation people would probably do. I wouldn't be surprised if a politician or businessman in real life would try and actually help the Daleks and then say, oh, I was only causing a distraction so the real heroes can save the day, and now I can be the actual... And now I can plaster myself as the hero. But it is disappointing to not see Jack Robertson not have a comeuppance. I really hope next time we see him, he gets turned into a Cyberman or something. That's a good idea, actually. Next Jack Robertson story, he gets upgraded into a Cyberman. And it's just a regular Cyberman, not a Cyber Leader or Cyber Controller or anything, just a regular Cyberman. That would be hilarious. I say that ironically because Cybermen upgrading people is not hilarious, but Jack Robertson being a regular Cyberman, that would be funny. Okay, now I'm not as annoyed that he escaped this time around, partly because real life people probably would get away with something similar to this. If they were to do something similar to this, they would still get away with it. And B, if Jack Robertson turns back up again, I'm looking forward to a big comeuppance, because he's way overdue for one. He didn't need to get a big comeuppance after Arrakis in the UK because he wasn't the main villain, but he would still need a comeuppance all the same. This time round, he really deserved a comeuppance because of him actually teaming up with the Daleks. So next time we see him, he needs to have a awesome, massive comeuppance, which could also be really funny. Maybe being turned into a regular Cyberman could be justice. Chibnall, start writing notes down. Even if it's not Series 13, write some stuff down for Series 14. You've got time. So yeah, it is disappointing Robertson gets away and without any comeuppance, but it's real fucking life. Which is why when he does get his comeuppance in a future story, it will be incredibly satisfying, if done right. Not sure when it'll be, but it'll probably be very satisfying when it comes. Unless it's boring. Anyway, Jack then leaves, goes off to see Gwen Cooper, who apparently has a son now. I knew she had a daughter because she had a daughter in Miracle Day, but I didn't know she had a son. I guess the story continues, audios didn't include that, but yeah, to be honest, this is an inclusion by Chibnall, so yeah, they wouldn't have known. Ryan and Graham decide to stay on Earth. Ryan has his reasons. We kind of talked about it earlier on when he talked to the Doctor. Graham decides to stay on Earth to be with Ryan and to help be with him growing up. And so the Doctor and Yaz continue their travels into time and space, whilst we get a lovely final scene with Ryan and Graham at the hillside whilst Ryan's trying to ride his bike. The appearance of Grace is nice, however, it might be done a little overdone. It might be a bit overdone. A less flashy Vision would have made a bit more sense. Anyway, so Revolution of the Daleks. This episode has a lot going on, and quite a bit of it is quite stuffed. Not all of it works. But what we do get is quite fun for the most part. There is some strong disappointing stuff with the Doctor and the prison stuff and the companions having to stop the Daleks without her help. That is just completely thrown away 1/3 into the episode. And we just go back to business as usual with Captain Jack for this episode. But business as usual, Captain Jack is still pretty fun. It's just, I just wish they hadn't bothered with that whole Doctor is in prison thing. Companions have to do all this stuff on their own and they can't do it. And that's the whole marketing of the episode. And it's a fucking lie. And it just comes down. I get they don't want to spoil anything. But yeah, it doesn't work. It just doesn't, it falls completely flat. And it's just ultimately disappointing. However, other elements of this story are still pretty good. The Daleks are fantastically written by Chibnall. This and Resolution are the best the Daleks have been since the Russell T Davies era. And I'm not joking, they are fantastic. The Daleks are easily the best thing of this special, and they're one of the best things of this era. They are so good. Not to mention, Nicholas Briggs is outstanding as the Dalek voices. And I like how they bring a sort of Imperial Dalek voice to the drone ones, but you got your regular Dalek voices for the bronze ones. I am a bit disappointed we don't have any bronze Daleks with any suckers. It's this new attachment. But if there's going to be another Dalek story later down the line, we might see Daleks with suckers again. And also, this is a different type of Daleks, a different rank of Dalek. So maybe we'll see some of the regular drone ones with suckers again. I look forward to that. And in fact, there was even a rumour that there was a Dalek going off to do a Doctor Who thing, although whether that's Series 13 filming or not is yet to be determined. It could be a time stretch thing, it could be something else. The final act of the story is also really good, and the characters are all really great. Even Jack Robertson is a step up from what he was in Arachnid in the UK, and Chris Newth does a better performance here. John Barrowman slips into the role of Captain Jack again really well, just like in Fugitive of the Dragoon, and despite what we know about him now, he's still really great in the episode, and the character is much appreciated being back, even if he didn't have to be. Main cast, this is the final story featuring the Doctor, Ryan, Yaz, and Graham as a team, before Ryan and Graham leave at the end of the episode. This is a great final performance from Bradley Walsh, and a pretty good final performance from Toz and Cole before their characters depart the series. Whilst we have a great performance from Jodie Whittaker as well, and also Mandip Gill is also really great. And I look forward to having her character, and I look forward to having Yaz's character a bit more fleshed out throughout Series 13, in spite of having another companion joining them in that series. But I think what they were going for with Yaz kind of being a bit obsessed with the Doctor and sticking around with her and can't get over her just yet. When this initial TARDIS team started out, some people theorised that the Doctor and Yaz might be in a romantic relationship, and this has gotten further thrust, shall we say, over the course of Series 12, when they started to get, Yaz started to get more obsessed with the Doctor and can't seem to get away from her. This seems to be... Now, that could be one way of looking at it, but maybe it'd be more like what we've seen with other companions, where they don't have a romantic attachment for the Doctor, but they are obsessed with travelling with them and they want to carry on and they just can't let it go. We'll see what happens in Series 13. Yaz might end up starting to fall in love with the Doctor in Series 13. She might already have, and it's confirmed more in Series 13. We'll see how it goes. But in the meantime, she's definitely obsessed with the Doctor and travelling throughout time and space. So, yeah, it's kind of heartbroken when the Doctor turns out 10 months later and she's like, oh, I was in space jail. And she doesn't know how much worry she's put her companions through for the past 10 months. So I think between those 2 points of Yaz's character, we're going to be seeing some... hopefully great development for the character in the next series. We'll see how it goes. However, after this episode aired, we got a teaser trailer for a new character joining Series 13. And unfortunately, this isn't included on the BBC iPlayer versions and might not be on the DVD or Blu-ray. By the way, this review is being recorded before my birthday, but if I insert myself holding up a DVD or Blu-ray of Revolution of the Daleks, that would have been filmed just before this review comes out. If not, you might see on the rankings. Again, if I'm able to sneak it in, but I'm not sure. We'll see. As mentioned in a small segment earlier, I do now have it on Blu-ray. Yay! Anyway, so the little teaser that came after the broadcast of this episode, and I tried to check out, and when I watched this episode on iPlayer, I tried to watch this sneaky little teaser at the end as well, on YouTube. Unfortunately, it's not included on the iPlayer version, but the end of after the episode aired was this teaser trailer. This teaser trailer announced that John Bishop will be joining the TARDIS team as a new companion alongside Yaz and the 13th Doctor in Series 13. Later on, the character's name was confirmed to be Dan. So, how will Dan, played by John Bishop, fare in Series 13? We'll find out in Series 13 when it comes around. I don't know what Series 13 is going to be like until it comes out. So, Revolution of the Daleks. There was some very good stuff in this story, but there was also some very disappointing stuff. So I'll be giving this story an 8 out of 10. Find it in my heart to give it anything lower, but it is a lower score from original review because some of the stuff was disappointing and didn't work with the story. But what did work in the story was really fun and really enjoyable and really engaging. Especially the Daleks. I will say Resolution is the better of the two Dalek stories of the Whittaker era so far, but this is still this is still better than anything from the Moffat era. Well, the main Dalek stories at least. Also, alongside Resolution, it's one of the better festive specials that have aired since the Revive series came back. So, that's it from me. Thank you for watching. And that's it from the Doctor Who reviews, or Revisitation reviews in the case of Series 10, 11 and 12. But we're not quite finished talking about Doctor Who Series 12 yet, because we've still got a Revisitation ranking to do. Not to mention a ranking of the of the top 10 13th Doctor stories as of Resolution of the Daleks. Revolution of the Daleks. As of May 2021, with an updated version coming out after Series 13, promise. And then I might do an update video about what else we'll be doing. So, thank you for watching this Revisitation of Revolution of the Daleks, and don't forget to tune in to Doctor Who Series 13 when it airs. Don't know when it'll be yet, but it'll come sometime later this year. So don't forget to check it out. Anyway, thank you for watching. Goodbye. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the Nicholas Payne YouTube channel.